Hi, everybody. DUGROZ here with DUGROZ Reports. Every Saturday morning on this particular channel, I have a live stream. And on the most recent live stream, I was talking about this card right here, the Chase Sapphire Reserve. This is the older artwork. It's since changed because there was a refresh of the Sapphire Reserve a couple months ago. As part of that discussion, we were talking about the Edit, and that is their luxury travel platform within Chase Travel. And the question came up, is the Edit overpriced? So I think today I'm going to try to find out, is the Edit by Chase overpriced? Let's go ahead and share the screen, and we'll do just a little bit of looking to help us make that determination. What is the Edit by Chase Travel? Well, you'll see it is inspired stays with exceptional benefits. This is their luxury booking category within their travel portal. This is an answer to Fine Hotels and Resorts by American Express. It comes with daily breakfast for two, a $100 property credit, possible room upgrades, blah, 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 blah. You can also use points for these stays. And with the recent revisions, the Sapphire Reserve has all of these at 2 cents per point. So if we take a look at some featured properties, they would say these are premium stays like Sunset Tower Hotel in Hollywood, California, Park Hyatt Seoul in Seoul, South Korea, Octant Praia Verde in Portugal. These are probably too expensive for my taste. I'm looking for the low luxury version of the Edit to see if that would suit me better. By low luxury, I mean, let's bring that down a little bit so that it's more like $2,000-ish or less for a 4-night stay. That's about the extent of my budget. I'm kind of an intermittent traveler, maybe 4 to 7 times a year. Let's go into just a little bit more detail on this. So here is a recent article by Stephen Pepper of Frequent Miler dated September 17th. Hot tip to then. Chase is making an edit to the Edit credit. And it lets us know that when they launched the Edit a few months back, it was listed as a $500 credit. You get $250 in the first half of the year, $250 in the second half of the year, with basically July 1st being your dividing line. So first semester, second semester. And the recent change is that starting on January 1st, 2026, Sapphire Reserve and Sapphire Reserve business card holders will have more flexibility. Rather than only being able to earn the $250 first half, second half, you will now be able to earn 2 sets of $250 statement credits any time of the year. It notes you're still limited to one $250 credit per booking. So if you want to do back-to-back bookings, you could book 2 separate stays and earn the two $250 credits accordingly. And that's probably the best case scenario for me as an intermittent traveler. I'd probably be staying at one of these low luxury hotels once a year, realistically, probably not more than that. So what I want to find out is, can we realistically apply that? And more importantly, are these Edit properties overpriced? A couple people wondered that, and it's a fair question. So I intend to answer that question. But before I dive in on this particular YouTube channel, I talk about finding epic value, including but not limited to credit card rewards for the average American. Does that sound interesting to you? If it does, please subscribe to the channel and please click the thumbs up button. Let's dive in. So what is the ideal? If you were to obtain or retain the Sapphire Reserve into 2026, the ideal would be to use the Edit credit for a 4-night stay of $250 twice. And functionally, you would want to be using $500 on one stay. Now, you'd probably have to book nights 1 and 2, one booking. Nights 3 and 4, one booking. Get the coupon on each. And just when you get there, tell them, hey, I'd like to stay in the same room. With that in mind, what do we need to know? Well, we need to know, are the Edit stays overpriced? The reason why we need to know that is because if yes, that eats into the $500 credit, which is used for valuing, is it worth keeping the card at $795 a year now? That's what I just said. So to be a little more specific, One could argue if you take the $795 annual fee, subtract out $500 in the edit credits, and then also their $300 broad travel credit, even without looking at all the other lesser credits, it's net no annual fee if you look at it that way, but only if these stays are not overpriced. So with that in mind, I'm going to put a link down below in the description box for my methodology. If you're one of the nerdy nerds and you want to know, well, Doug, how did you figure out what the fair price was? And how did you do your averages and all that? I'm not going to go over it in this video. Check the link. So here they are, 15 real examples of 4-night the edit stays. I picked 5 categories with 3 properties each that are in that low luxury type of category where it's as low as possible and still qualifying for the edit. And we'll just take a look at what they are. These were chosen before I knew what the value would be, so this is not cherry picking. When we think of a comparison under versus overpriced, I'm going to list it as follows. If the edit is 10% or more overpriced, I'll use a red font. If it is 2 to 9% overpriced, I'll use an orange font. If it is the same price, meaning plus or minus 1% compared to direct booking, I'll use the white font. And if it is 2% or more less than the direct price, then it's underpriced, and I'll classify that with the green font. So group number 1 is big American cities. And I'll start with Chicago. Between April 6th and 10th, you'll be staying 4 nights at the Lowe's Hotel Chicago, $1,296. The direct price was $1,296, so it was exactly the same. But we need a little more comparison. If you factor in breakfast and what you would have paid if booking direct, the Lowe's Hotel through the edit is actually 10% less than the direct booking price. I've decided it's important to do a direct price both without and with breakfast, because with the edit, you're getting daily breakfast for 2 on each property. And obviously, this is going to vary person to person. If it's a property where you already had the highest possible level status and got free breakfast, it wouldn't matter, and you'd want to use the left side comparison. But if it's a property where you would have been paying for breakfast, you'll use the right side comparison. Or maybe if you're someone like, well, I would have gone out and got an Egg McMuffin at McDonald's, which was a lot less expensive than eating at the hotel, then it could be somewhere in the middle. But I thought it was important to compare both with and without breakfast. The next big American city was Miami, and let's look at the Mayfair House Hotel and Garden in Coconut Grove, Miami. Between May 11th and 15th, 4 nights, that costs $1,365. When I searched the direct price, it was $1,365. So spot on, no change. With breakfast, it's actually 13% less to book through the Mayfair House with the edit. So, hey, good job, the edit. You saved us 13%. And the last of the 3 big American cities is Las Vegas, of course. You know, lots of people like to go to Vegas. Let's say for spring break between March 19th and 23rd, you head out there, stay at the Park MGM. This is where the first creator meetup was in Italy, connected to that hotel. This would be $1,219. You also notice on here it says Marriott Bonvoy eligible. Some of these properties are eligible for your hotel loyalty number to be entered at the time of booking. So that would flow through, and whatever status you had with Marriott would show up on this stay, even though you're booking through the edit. Booking direct would be $1,147. So the edit was overpriced by 6%. With breakfast, it's actually 7% underpriced. So worth it on the edit if you wouldn't have been getting free breakfast with Marriott. Not worth it if you already got free breakfast with Marriott. So let's move on to our next category. This is the Group 2 Tour of Middle America. The first example is the 21C Museum Hotel in Louisville, Kentucky, between May 13th and 17th, $1,324. The direct price was $1,330. So that's within that margin of error. The edit is $6 cheaper, but not enough to worry about. With breakfast, though, you would actually be saving 11% by going through the edit. So obviously, if you're a fan of the edit or you're wanting to keep your Sapphire Reserve, you want to see as many of the green numbers as possible. Our next Middle America hotel is the 21C Museum Hotel, same chain, in St. Louis, Missouri. And this is between October 25th and 29th. This is an Accor Limitless eligible hotel. I believe the last one was as well. So if you have ALL status, you can put it in. It'll flow through. $1,258 through the edit. How much is that directly? Well, it's $1,407. So the edit is cheaper by 11% right off the bat. If we factor in breakfast, it's 19% cheaper to go through the edit. Wow, that's pretty impressive. And then the third and final of Middle America is Denver, Colorado, between June 3rd and 7th. You'll be staying at the Kimpton Claret Hotel by IHG. This one is eligible for IHG rewards, so you can plug in your IHG number, earn IHG points. Status will flow through. Just over $1,500. If you book direct, it would be a little less. So the edit is overpriced by about 5%. If you factor in breakfast, it's still overpriced, but now it's only overpriced by 2%. So not a win there. The next category is group 3, beaches or the ocean. Not all of these necessarily are right on a sandy beach, but they're at least looking at the ocean. First up, let's go to Jacksonville, Florida, between April 5th and 9th. This might be a late spring break trip. The Omni Amelia Island Resort, $2,504. This is also eligible for the Omni loyalty program if you happen to be a part of that. Direct price was, almost $500 cheaper. So the edit is overpriced by 23%. Ouch. How about if we factor in breakfast? Well, it's still overpriced, but not as badly. It's only overpriced by 13%. So this is the biggest loser of the edit by far so far. So you do have to be a little discerning. Not every property is going to be a victory in the edit. Next up, we'll go to Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. Between May 25th and 29th, stay at the Fairmont Waterfront. This is another ALL property. $1,812. The direct price would have been $2,133. So the edit wins by 15%. That's weird. We have 2 Accor properties in a row. One of them is, or no, this was Omni. I'm sorry. I was going to say 2 Accor properties in a row, but they're 2 different loyalty programs. One was way overpriced. This one is decently underpriced. If you instead add breakfast, now the edit wins by almost 24%. Wow, not bad. San Diego, California for our next property that looks out at the ocean. This is between June 26th and 30th of 2026. The Intercontinental San Diego by IHG, eligible for IHG One rewards, $2,611. But if you book direct, you could get it for $2,492. So the edit is overcharging by 5%. If you factor in breakfast, the edit wins by $10 or so. So that's within that margin of error, 0%. We'll call it break even. Category number 4. This is international properties, or at least not North America. We had one in Canada. And I think specifically all 3 examples are from Europe. In Glasgow, United Kingdom, in Scotland, you could go between April 16th and 20th and stay at the Kimpton Blythewood Square. Blythewood Square. I think that's how you pronounce it. For a little over $1,500. This is eligible for IHG One rewards, of course, because it's a Kimpton. Let's take a quick look and see what that would come out to booking direct. It would be about $15 cheaper. So that's within the margin of error. Break even. If you include breakfast, then going through the edit is about 7% cheaper. I used to have an IHG business card, and therefore I had platinum status. Technically, you have to have platinum and elite to be guaranteed free breakfast. Most of the time, they gave me free breakfast anyway, but these were lower end hotels like Holiday Inns or those kind of things. I'm not sure if you had IHG status and you had platinum but not platinum meat, would they give you free breakfast? Probably not. So you'd actually be better off going with the edit in this particular case, since it flows through and you earn points anyway. The Tivoli Dolien Amsterdam Hotel, obviously in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, between June 29th and July 3rd, just under $2,000. Let's see what it comes out to direct. $1,967. So we're within that margin of error. What's that? $6 difference. The edit's $6 more. If you factor in breakfast, now the edit is 2% underpriced. So a modest savings. How about we go to Stockholm, Sweden? I've been to Sweden once in my life. Really liked it. Let's say between May 4th and 8th, you stay at a property called At 6. This is part of some loyalty program. I'm not sure which one. Just a little over $2,000 for 4 nights. The direct price would be $1,794. Ooh, so yeah, the edit's kind of overpriced on this one by about 12%. If you factor in breakfast, it's still overpriced, but it moves into that moderately overpriced category instead of the severely overpriced category. You're still overpaying by about 6%. Ironically, you're overpaying by 6% at 6. I promise I didn't plan it that way. And our fifth and final category is smaller towns or unique locations. Don't really fit into big cities, beaches, international, tour of the Midwest. So just kind of 3 hodgepodgey ones here that I thought were cool. How about Charlottesville, Virginia? I've been there. I've been to this exact property. Had a great stay. Let's say I go back between April 27th and May 1st. That's a realistic time frame for me doing a solo trip. Just a little under $1,700. This is a Kimpton, so it's an IHG property. I can put in my IHG info. It'll flow through. The direct price is exactly the same, $1,669. If you factor in breakfast, the edit is actually 11% cheaper. Now, I'm not factoring in that $100 property credit because I'm like, would I get a massage? Would I order room service? Would I do equestrian activity or whatever? Probably not. So it's kind of a fun little boost to have the $100 property credit. Whereas breakfast, I always want to eat breakfast at a hotel, so I would have included that. This place has great breakfast. I've had it. How about I go to Savannah, Georgia, and stay at the Thompson Savannah? It's kind of like you got molasses dripping out of your mouth. Between June 1st and 5th for 1,144 American Yankee dollars. Or if you book direct, it would be $1,144, the exact same price. If you factor in breakfast, now the edit wins by about 14%. I do want to take a second to point out something interesting on this property. This is a Hyatt property. And if you were to book it with points, I actually went to the Hyatt website, figured out what each night was in points. It would be 83,000 Hyatt points. Now, a lot of times we think about Hyatt points as worth about 2 cents each, but this one wasn't worth as much. It's worth 1.4 cents per point, whereas in the edit, you're getting 2 cents per point. So it's not always going to be this way, but at least in this particular example, the edit is actually a better value at 2 cents per point than transferring to Hyatt at 1.4 cents per point. Take that for what it's worth. And it should flow through and count as a paid stay with Hyatt because this is eligible for World of Hyatt Elite status. And then our very last example is in the Wild West, Bozeman, Montana, right at the edge of some really pretty mountains. The Kimpton Armory Hotel by IHG, and this would be $1,429. The direct price would be just a little bit better, $1,390, which makes the edit overpriced by 3%. If you factor in breakfast, though, now the edit is underpriced by about 4%. All right, there's our 15 examples. Let's break it down, y'all, just a little bit. So of the 15 samples, the edit is overpriced 10% or more 2 times, but only 1 time if we factor in breakfast. Overpriced by 2 to 9% 4 times, only 2 times with breakfast. The same price, or within that 1% margin of error, 7 times. 1 time if factoring in breakfast. And the edit is actually underpriced. That's why it's green. It's good. The edit is a better value than the direct price 2 times, but 11 times if you factor in breakfast. Now, maybe you are a visual learner. So let's take a look here. Here's the 15 samples without breakfast as a pie chart. You can see the red is severely overpriced. The orange is somewhat overpriced. Same price here and underpriced here. So put underpriced and same price together, and over half the time, the edit wins out without breakfast. Now, what about with breakfast? The edit is severely overpriced, whatever that fraction is, less than 10%, somewhat overpriced 13% of the time, same price 6.7% of the time, and 73% of the time, if you are factoring in breakfast, because you get that free breakfast for 2 every day of your stay, 73% of the time, the edit actually comes out better. It is underpriced. So I put it this way, 80% of the properties we sampled were either the same or underpriced if you factor in breakfast. Now, this is excellent for an intermittent traveler like me because I don't have status with Marriott. I don't have any, well, I have low-level status. I don't have any meaningful status with Marriott. I don't have status with IHG. I don't have status with Hyatt other than, I just have like the generic membership. The only program I have some decent status with is Hilton. I didn't see any Hilton properties on the list here, so won't factor those in. But if I need to stay at one of these properties, I'm probably not going to have any status that gets me free breakfast. So for me and my traveling companion, presumably my wife, we would get free breakfast the whole time. So here's the average for 4 nights. It came out to $1,648. Now, you could use your $500 worth of credits, the 250s, drop that down to $1,148, and that's not terrible. Another way to think about it is if you use both the credits and the one stay to take off the $500, then at 2 cents per point, you could book the remainder, the 1,100 or so, for 57,400 UR points. That comes to 14,350 points per night. Now, I think like at a category 4 or 5 Hyatt property, which is sort of the standard price, not the peak, not the off peak, that's right around a category 4 or 5. So this is just the same as that kind of like level 4 or 5. So it's not the Ritz-Carlton, but it's kind of the low luxury, which is perfect for an intermittent traveler like me. Just a couple more thoughts here. Is giving $500 of value to this credit fair? Well, even if you valued it 80% using that pie chart, that's still $400. I think if I did this, the way that I would do it would be, I would be particular about which property I use. Now, obviously, we can get in discussions about how many properties there are, and they're not infinite. But that's a discussion for a different video. But even if you valued it 80%, that's still $400 in value from the edit credit. I'm not trying to sell the CSR. I don't care if you get it or not. I guess I'll put a link down in the description box. If you want to use my referral link, you can. Whether or not it does any good, totally up to you, but just think of it this way. $795 annual fee, take off the $300 broad travel credit, the $400 that we've assigned this perk at 80%, that's still a net annual fee of $95. So it kind of sort of feels like your CSR is now like the same price as a CSP on a net basis. And what do you get for that? Well, you get lounge access, you get much better insurance protections. There's probably a few other benefits that just aren't popping into my head right now. Is that reasonable? Well, only you can decide. So bottom line is, just like Smokey Bear says, only you can decide what credits should be valued at. I'm pretty sure that's a slogan. I agree. Only you can decide if all of this is worthwhile or not. So there's the info, and I hope that was helpful. The Edit by Chase Sapphire Reserve. Not that overpriced. In fact, 80% of the time, factoring in breakfast, it is a fair price or better. I know you've got some thoughts, everyone out there, some pro, some con, so put them down below and let me know what those thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up button while also subscribing to the channel. And as always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Thanks for watching.